Hey guys, bit of a different video today as it's not electrically related, but I'm still going to be building something. Today we're going to be building a wooden gazebo on this lower deck here. This is most of the material here, but not all of it. We still need the plastic corrugated roof and some of the screws for the roof. Other than that, here's most of it, most of our material here, most of our wood. And here's some more materials over here. Didn't want to cut out a part of the deck in case this thing ever goes, so I wanted to be somewhat non-destructive, but I didn't want it to just sit there. So I think one of these concrete post anchors should work good if I drill a hole. So mostly it's not to keep it from coming up and out, as this thing's very heavy. It's just more to stop it from moving horizontally. So I think if that will sit in the deck pretty good right there, I'm going to get them to all sit over top of a joist so the weight won't be on the 2x6s here. Here I'm measuring out for my locations of the posts. Now I wanted to get them as close to 10 feet as possible, but I had to go closer to 11. They're 129 inches to get it over a joist. So that's off of the other posts. I'm going to have one there, over there, and I'm going to have one on that corner by the tower. And then I'll have another one here at 129 inches also sitting over top of a joist. So I've drilled a hole there, and it's kind of hard to tell, but I did cut off a large portion of the rebar of this anchor here. The issue is the metal part of the joist hanger from the joist below was in the way, so I had to cut it shorter. So that's these two ones done over here. I do have to cut these off though, as you saw and as I said, because these come this long and I gotta cut them back to more about here, because I can only I can only drill a hole through the 2x6 because it ends up that the joist hangers I end up hitting because they're right in my way. So that's why I gotta cut these back short. So with these posts here, I try to get them as level as possible. Like, I tried to screw them in when they were as level as possible, but it doesn't really matter because in the end I just straightened them out and made sure that when I started adding the roof that everything was right. So right now, all the posts are held in with just 4 screws into the post anchors, or the concrete anchors, whatever you want to call them. I would like to add some lag bolts, though, later on. Now I'm cutting 4 inches off 2 of the posts, of ones on the tower side of my deck, to give it about a 1 to 2 degree pitch off, that way for rain to flow off a little better. I've now cut both posts, and as you can see, I have all 4 posts are now standing on their anchors. Now they're not quite level, but we'll get there. Now this is one of our horizontal 2x10s. Now I'm marking them just by lining them one end up with the outer edge of the bottom of the post and the other end with the outer edge of the post, because even if the posts aren't level, this will pull them into how they should be at the top, because their top should be the same measurement across as the bottom. Here's what I mean. We've lined it up, and then that's overhanging bit is the amount that needs to be cut off of it. So it's not going to be quite 10 feet, but ideally the gazebo is going to be about 10 by 10 feet, but certain things that had to change a little bit. Now these ones are longer sides, which are about 12 feet in total, because I cut a bit of an angle at the end so we wouldn't have to trim down the roofing, which was sold in 12 foot, because that might just turn into a mess. So these ones I'm just cutting to a little angle on them to make them look a little nicer. Doesn't really need to be, just makes it aesthetically look better. Now we started staining them, and now it was not I did not do any staining. I don't like staining or painting anything. Now we're going to be installing our main 12-foot long main beams. I've set up 2 big clamps on either end to hold them in place while I make sure the posts are still level and square, and then we screw them down in. The big clamps I got aren't actually holding it to the post, they're just on the post as a supporting device, so I can place our 2x10 on top of them so they can freely sit there as I screw them in, so we can make sure that we get the posts level and everything is aligned, and then they can be screwed in, but they're still free to pivot, being they're not clamped down. Here I am screwing them in, but I'm just using the small screws. I'm not using the big GRK fasteners. Kind of 3 stages to this. First we set up the clamps to place the beam, then we screw them in temporarily with small screws where you can still move it a little, and then we finish it off with big GRK fasteners. Here are the big GRK fasteners. I believe they're 6 inches or just about that in length by 3/8 diameter. So that is one of our 2 main beams done. Once the 2 main beams are done, stuff gets a lot easier. They're kind of the harder part to get started. Now we move on to this second one on this side. So as we're screwing in all of this, the post is getting pushed and held in the position it needs to be once the screws are set, because once they're set, there's no moving it. So that's our 4 sides up. Basically, at this point, it's just filling in the 4 sides. I'm now cutting our 2x8s that will support the roof, our roof joists. These will be cut to the same length as those last 2 beams I put up, and they will fit in between the 2 main longer beams that we put up first. Now, some of these got stained before they were cut, and some got stained after they were cut. These joists here are not being held in with the big GRK fasteners. Only the 4 main 2x10s are held in with the GRK fasteners. These don't need it. We ended up with 7 joists in between our 2 main 2x10s running parallel with the joist, 7 between them and then 2 on either end after them. Here's what we're looking at so far. As you can see the screws and where they'll be spaced at. They end up being about all 16 inches apart each one. I thought that's a good distance. Here's what we're looking at right now. This is all of our joists complete. There's still some more stuff to go as far as wood. These guys here are the supports that help reinforce the structure. As you see, now I've got them installed. It's nighttime here. Sorry I didn't get any clips of installing them. It was just kind of dark and they're not too exciting to install, but this is how they end up looking. I've got them cut just right so they'll flush with the top of the joist and they sit nicely up against their 6x6 poles. These ones, as you see, I had to cut a little bit more of the corner off to fit around the joists. Here is the next day what we're looking like. Now it's time for our roofing. Here we have 6 26-inch by 12-foot long corrugated plastic roof panels. You can get these in many different colors. We just went with the white ones, not the ones that let a whole bunch of light through. Now, first we went with these foam support sort of things. They go on top of the joist to help support it. These things suck. They made it look way worse. We ended up ripping them all out because they did not make it any better. Here's screwing down this first roof panel now. These screws have a rubber gasket on them. They have a washer, like a steel washer, and then a rubber gasket to keep it watertight. Now, as you see, the roof is done. I should have got some footage of doing it, but unfortunately I didn't. It was a lot of work, lots of screws that have to go into the joists. Quite a bit of screws. As you see, I used a 1/4-inch nut driver there on the impact driver, which worked out pretty good. It's a magnetic bit, which was definitely helpful. You can walk on here, as you see I'm doing, but you have to go in the joists, and it will kind of dent in, but it will pop back out once you're not walking on it. I definitely wouldn't walk in between them, or you'll probably damage the panels. Here's our underneath view. You can pretty clearly see in the sun where they're overlapping. I try to get them to overlap all the same amount, but that is about it for this video and building my gazebo. Now I'm going to be adding electrical and stuff for this gazebo in the future, so that will be more videos on that. But if you did enjoy this video, found it entertaining or useful, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're interested in my videos and want to see more like them. If you got any comments or questions, leave those down in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching.